Hello everyone, welcome back to this review of this unit number 11 about the Spanish Empire, and especially our focus is on these two first kings of this dynasty. Is called, or is known here in Spain as Austrias. They are the Habsburgs. That are Charles V, Carlos V, and Felipe II. That it's Felipe II. That is our protagonist, or our main character now. Okay, so who was Felipe II? We remember, should we remember. Charles V, or Carlos V, declined and divided his possessions in two. Okay, so the Holy Roman Empire went to his brother, and all the rest of territories went to his son Philip. So this is our Philip II. So Fernando would be the new emperor, and Felipe became the king of Spain and received all this wide empire. But we should not forget that he will have other new territories that his father couldn't have, and we will see what. Okay, we'll see which territories. So by this time, Spain, or in this case, or the Spains, las Españas too, we can find many names for this kingdom, will be the biggest kingdom of the world. Okay, he governed, of course, all these territories that he had inherited from his father, and Portugal as well. He was son of a Portuguese princess. So in 1580 he's going to claim the crown of Portugal. Here we can see that Isabel of Portugal, or Isabel de Portugal, was Philip's mother. So he had a direct succession of the crown of Portugal. He could claim as absolutely legal successor. Okay. At the same time, we can say that in this second part of 16th century, that will be the reign of Philip II. We'll have a lot of conflicts, and we have other fights against England. Okay, this is Elizabeth I, and it will be really important because now Spain will be fighting against all the big crowns of Europe. Okay, good. So here on this map we can see, or in this map we can see all the possessions of the Spanish crown. In this case, for Philip II, we can check that we'll added more territories. That's true. That we can see here with Carlos V. Austria is lost, because then Felipe II is not going to have this territory, but Felipe II will gain Portugal and all the Portuguese colonies, as we can see here: Macau, Philippines, Brazil, and some isles like Azores, a lot of places that it's going to add this huge empire. So Philip II or Felipe II was born in 1527 in Valladolid. So as we said before, he is a Spanish king. He's a Castilian king, not like his father. Okay, his father has some problems because he was a foreigner, but Felipe is going to be Spanish 100%. So he had two sisters, Mary and Juan de Austria, or Juan de Austria. Juan de Austria, or Juan of Austria, is going to be really important because will be the person of confidence of this king of Felipe II, and was really important in some fights, in some wars that is going to have the Spanish monarchy against some enemies that we will see in the following explanations. He lives in several castles with his mother until he was 7. So he started school and he went to Netherlands to live with his paternal family. So he had knowledge about what was happening in what we call, or we will call, Flanders. Okay, Netherlands for us, and in those times we called Flanders. So we can separate between domestic and foreign policy. Okay, in domestic policy, Felipe II or Felipe II faced many restrictions on his power because Spain was a lot of states with their own laws, rulers, and local assemblies. Please keep in mind, this is so important that the Spanish monarchy was a polysynodial system that it started from or in the Catholic monarchs region, and that means that every part of this monarchy has their own institutions and are respected, all of them. Okay, always always with huge respect. But of course, if they had problems or they fight against the central administration, they could be banned. Okay, but at the beginning or in the end, they should have to be respected. So he established the court in Madrid. He's the first king that established the capital city in Madrid, and will be from this point, or from this time till now, that Madrid is going to be the most important city, at least in these political terms. So Felipe II was a Castilian king, and of course he surrounded by Castilian people, and Castile is going to be the center of the political decisions. Of course, he extended the council system that started with the Catholic monarchs, and he was one of the most important defenders of the Catholicism. So he has problems with the Moriscos, that were Muslims that were converted after the fall of Granada, and as we will see, they will spread it through the kingdom. Okay, so here inside in the kingdom we will have the revolt of the Alpujarras. Okay, that it was the revolt of these Moriscos against the kings and the central power, because there was a decree that forbade Moriscos of Granada to use their language, dress, religious and customs. So they moved to the Alpujarras and they started to fight. Finally, they were defeated, and they were, as we can see here, spread through all the kingdom. Okay, and the second was the problem of the rebellion, or the Aragon rebellion, and Antonio Perez. Antonio Perez was one of the closest persons to the king, but he betrayed Felipe by selling state secrets to other kingdoms. And what is funny, he told the king that the guilty was his stepbrother, Joan de Austria. But finally, the truth could be demonstrated, and he had to escape to Aragon, and in Aragon could not be tried. Why? Because as we said, there was a lot of organism that had to be respected, and in Aragon they have their own codes. So he stayed there, and then he escaped to France. So finally he could not be tried, and started to conspire against the king once he was in France. So at the same time, we have problems with taxes. A huge empire needed a lot of resources, and we had at the same time a lot of fights, a lot of wars. So we had to spend a lot of resources that come from America just to maintain these conflicts. So we couldn't spend this amount of gold and silver and improve the situation, the conditions. So we will have bankrupts and decrease of silver flows from America. Okay, bankrupts is bancarrotas. So for in the foreign policy, we can highlight the conflicts against the Turks, like with his father, and the final defeat of these Turks in the Battle of Lepanto, in association with Venice and Papal States, that was called the Holy League, and with Portugal. Okay, Portugal was as we saw at the beginning, will be a part of the empire, but Sebastian I or Primero dead without heirs, so, murió sin herederos. So Felipe claimed the throne. The problem that was that the Portuguese didn't want him as a king, because he was a foreigner. He was not a Portuguese. So Felipe has to send an army. Finally, he could get the crown, the power, but left Portugal govern itself. Okay, to don't have more problems. We have also more conflicts with France, with the Battle of Saint Quentin, and guys, really important, against England, the disaster of Invincible Armada. That was a huge naval army that was created here in Spain to invade England, but because of a storm, of a blizzard in the close to the English coast, and the battle. Later, most of the ships and most of the army sorry, most of the ships sank. So finally, this huge amount of ships become in a weak force that finally could be defeated by the English, and this was one of the defeats, or the hardest defeats of the Spanish history. Okay, and the other problem is the Netherlands and Flemish. Do you remember all the problems that has Charles V? So now we can find almost the same, even more, with his son. So in Netherlands or Lowlands, it started a rebellion, and Philip II sent the Duke of Alva, accompanied by the Tercios. That was a professional infantry army created now to improve the army that they had, and began a very harsh repression against the rebels. So this country was divided in two zones. Okay, the south were called Union of Arras or Union de Arras, and was the Catholic. Okay, but the north would be called Union of Utrecht, and will be the Calvinist or the Protestants zone, and will be declared independence from Spain in 1579. It will become in a war that finally in the following century, or in the next century, will end with the independence of all these of these Netherlands. So we can see here in Spanish all the foreign policy, first with Charles I or Carlos I, and then with Felipe II. Okay, we can see that almost all these conflicts are are common between the first and the second. Okay, but here we can see the problem with England and with Netherlands as something that is particular of Felipe II. So Felipe II placed the court of his empire in Madrid, and the problem is that he had to face with the Archbishop of Toledo, because the court has to be therefore. So he focused in two places: his Monasterio de Escoria and Gardens of the Palace of Aranjuez. Okay, here we can see a lot of places that are developed in this time with this king. That it's Puente de Segovia, Plaza Mayor, Plaza de la Villa, Monasterio de las Descalzas, Plaza del Rey. You can check it. And just to know how they organized empire. So the Habsburgs were not great innovators, okay, in the field of administration. They just try to develop what the Catholic monarchs did, and just introduce some new organisms. So we can see courts or parliaments that will be in a bit decrease, then councils of territories and areas. It depends on the we can find some examples like Council of Aragon, Council of Navarra, and councils by areas. Like you can you can check here, like war, state, treasure, crusades, Inquisition, and then we find a viceroy, okay, that it's normally for overseas territories, normally for America, chancillerías or audiences, supreme courts of justice, and territorial own courts, like the Chief Justice of Aragon, that was the main was one of the most guilty organisms that we found in this rebellion, in the Aragon rebellion with Antonio Pérez. Okay, that's one that's a point to explain how Antonio Pérez couldn't be tried there. Okay, so here you have a scheme of how it's divided the politic model in this monarchy. Okay, and it's not so complicated. Okay, and just to end, we have to stop in how was the society. Okay, the agriculture and the craftsmanship was the main point of the way of life of people. Agricultural and transhumance was the basis for whole sports. Okay, trading was so important. Why? Because the crown has the monopoly of the American trading, and Sevilla was the center. Okay, Sevilla was the casa de contratación, that it was the main point for this. But at the same time, Bilbao and Santander grew in importance. We have a price revolution, because we have here a huge amount of silver coming from America, but this huge silver and gold was going to pay the conflicts with the other kingdoms. So finally it's not going to be a difference for the people. Okay, so they have to suffer this price evolution, and this goal never could get this part of the society. With this we have to highlight the bankruptcies. Okay, this huge waste in conflicts and the wealthy situation of Castile that paid the wars in Flanders made that the king, the government couldn't pay the debts. So guys, we end here. Okay, we will finish this unit in the next video about Spanish America, and yes, if you have any doubt or whatever, you can contact with me, and thank you so much for watching. Okay, take care and hugs for everyone.